Welcome to Algebra 2, Semester 1, Unit 5, 5.3. You should be in from the front, let's see, 1, 2, 3 pages. 3 pages from the front of the packet on the back of that page. Okay. All that we're going to be doing is adding and subtracting and multiplying polynomials. So let's look at this first one. They want us to add in vertical format. Vertical is up and down. So I just take this x cubed, write it underneath x cubed there. 6x squared. It's a positive 6x squared right underneath the other one. And then the 11 doesn't have an x value, so it doesn't go underneath that x value there. Instead it goes under the 9. Because they're both constants. Now we add these. Might help to put a 1 in front of that one. 2x cubed plus 1x cubed would be 3x cubed. Positive 6x squared and a negative 5x squared is a positive 1, or you can just put x squared. Positive 3x and nothing will be positive 3x. And a positive 11 and negative 9 is a positive 2. So that's your vertical format on that. Now, on the horizontal format, what I normally do is I show these terms, but I go ahead and I use the commutative property to put like terms together. I don't have any m cubes over here. So I go on to my m squared, I have a negative 2m squared, and I bring this negative 4m squared right next to it. Now I have a negative 7m and a positive 2m and negative 5. So when I write my horizontal, I just go ahead and put like terms close together. This m cubed has no other like terms, so it comes down by itself. But the m squareds I need to put together. I have a negative 2 and a negative 4. Remember, when signs are the same, we add them and give them the same sign. So that would be a negative 6m squared. Negative 7m and a positive 2. When signs are different, we find the difference, give it the sign of the larger one. So 7 minus 2 is 5. 7 was negative, so it's negative 5m, and then minus 5. That is our final answer. Okay. Now, when we're subtracting in vertical format, I go ahead and I do just like I did in add. I write all the terms right below the like terms. X cubed, positive 6x squared, and the 11. But now what I do, because it was subtraction, it's the second polynomial being subtracted from the first, so I change all the signs in the second polynomial, and then I add. So now we have 2x cubed minus or plus a negative x cubed would be 1x cubed. A negative 5 and a negative 6 makes negative 11 x squared. The 3x doesn't have anything with it. Negative 9 and negative 11 is negative 20. Okay. Next one. They want us to subtract these now in horizontal format. So again, what I do is I change all their signs before I ever put them together. So again, I treat it almost like the add, but I just take that negative 1 or that subtraction sign through each one. So I have a positive 4m squared. I have a negative 2m, and I have a positive 5, and I kind of spread them out so I can put the other terms in with them. My 3m squared is all by itself still because it doesn't have any other m's, or I mean 3m cubed doesn't have any other cubes. I do have the negative 2m squared. Now notice on the front one I don't change their sign. They're not being subtracted, it's the second one that's being subtracted. Now I have a negative 2m, I also have a negative 7m. And then that plus 5 is by himself out there, there's no other constant, so I just don't forget him. I bring down my 3m cubed. I take my negative 2 and my positive 4. Now I'll have to find their difference. That would be a positive 2m squared. My negative 7 and my negative 2, they have the same sign, so I add them together. Get negative 9m. And then I have my plus 5. Okay. Okay. Next one. They want me to multiply in vertical format, just like how you hopefully learn to multiply with double-digited numbers. This is what it looks like. We take the polynomial that usually I take the one that's got fewer terms, put it underneath the other one, put a little multiply symbol out here. Now I just take 1 times negative 9, negative 9. 1 times 3x is 3x. 1 times negative 5x squared is negative 5x squared. 1 times 2x cubed is 2x cubed. Now I take 6x squared times negative 9. Negative 9 times 6 would be a negative 54 x squared. So I need to move that clear over under the x squared term. Negative 54 x squared. Okay, they won't always skip in that much. What I do is I find my product and then I find the like term for it to be written under. 6x squared times 3x would be, remember you add their exponents, so it's 18x cubed. That was a positive. 6x squared times negative 5x squared would be a negative 30x to the 4th. 6x squared times 2x cubed would be 12x to the, add their exponents, 2 and 3 is 5. Negative 9 we bring down, 3x we bring down. Add together a negative 54 and a negative 5. That would be a negative 59x squared. 2x cubed and a positive 18x cubed would be a positive 20x cubed. Negative 30x to the 4th. And positive 12x to the 5th. There's my answer. Now in horizontal format, I will generally take the one that's got fewer terms and put it in the front, just because I don't lose track of things as well or as bad if they're that way. And then I put the one with more terms behind. You could do it either way. Just make sure and be organized in how you're doing it. Now, what needs to happen is I need to take this term and multiply it by each of these, and this term and multiply it by each of these. So I draw the arrows as I multiply. So 2m times 3m cubed, that's a 2m to the first, would be 6m to the 4th. 2m times 2m squared would be positive, that's a negative 2m squared. So it's a 2 times a negative 2, that would be a negative 4m to the 3rd. 2m times negative 7m be a negative 14m squared. Now in my next term, negative 5 times positive 3m cubed would be a negative 15m cubed, and I write it right underneath the previous product that had an m cubed so that I can add those like terms. Negative 5 times negative 2m squared is positive, because they were both negative, positive 10m squared. Negative 5 times negative 7m would be a positive 35m. Okay, add those together now, just like you do with multiplication. 6m to the fourth. Negative and a negative is going to make bigger negative. We don't find a difference, we find a sum, so it's negative 19m cubed. A negative and a positive, they are different signs, so we find a difference. The greater absolute value would be that 14, so we're going to have a negative 4m squared plus 35m. Okay. Now to multiply 3 binomials, I generally will just take whichever ones look the easiest to partner up first. I'll just take the first two, and I go ahead and I FOIL those. Remember, F stands for first, so x times x, x squared. Outside, x times 1 is 1x, so plus x. Inside, negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And last is negative 5 times positive 1 is negative 5. Now combine these like terms before you go any further. So we have x squared. 1 minus 5x is negative 4x minus 5. Now I take this other binomial that I need to multiply by, and I generally write it in the front since I make fewer mistakes that way, and I multiply just like I did up above. X times x squared would be x cubed. Draw my arrow. X times negative 4x would be negative 4x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times negative 4x, negative 12x. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. We have x cubed, negative 4x squared, and positive 3x squared would be a negative x squared. A negative 5x and a negative 12 will be a negative 17x minus 15. Here's your final answer. Okay, we have just a few key concepts here to make sure that you have down. This should be a review, and then you're going to use these in some problems today. Make sure to ask me if you're having any difficulty understanding these. If we FOIL this, we will end up with difference of two squares. And we've been factoring differences of two squares a lot and multiplying these a lot, so hopefully you've been in class and seen that. The next one, if we multiply this out, it becomes x minus y times x minus y, and there is a pattern to that. It ends up being x squared minus 2x y plus y squared. Go ahead and multiply that out if you're not familiar with the pattern. On this next one, it's a square of a positive binomial, so it's x plus y, x plus y. It comes out exactly the same as the former one, except for that 2x in the middle is positive 2xy. Okay, So those are the patterns. When you come to class, you need to really look at those. We should have an activity in class soon, or else we already have by the time you see this, on Pascal's triangle. If not, please ask me about that. You'll see these patterns in it, that's why I mention it. This pattern right here, we have a 1x cubed. Go ahead and FOIL that out, just like we did on the last problem, doing 3 of these. And you'll see how you get this. It's 1x cubed minus 3x squared y to the first. These always add up to 3 as we go across here. Plus 3x to the first y squared minus y cubed. So a couple things that are neat. Just patterns that we've probably seen in the Pascal's triangle activity. And I want to share them with you. Is the first term is cubic, just like this says here, and so is the last term. All of the others, their degrees add up to 3. Okay? The other pattern here is that there will be 4 terms when it's raised to the 3rd power. If it's raised to the 4th power, there's 5 terms. 5th power, 6 terms. So always keep that in mind. There is a pattern in polynomials this way. So this one would be x cubed plus 3x squared y plus 3xy squared plus y cubed. Okay, we'll see you in class tomorrow, and ask lots of questions, come with questions, be ready to work out of the book, and be ready to do some activities. See you tomorrow.